Hello, hello.
Hello.
Hi, everybody out there in Facebook land. My name is Shelby Reno, and I am the owner and trainer at CKO Grand Rapids. We've got a couple locations in town. I hope many of our members and friends of CKO are out there watching this chat, this conversation with Dr. Diana Bitner. I'm really excited to have this fun Q&A and look at this as a real opportunity for my membership in the greater Facebook community that we have on our pages to tune in and hopefully walk away with a couple tips and some new knowledge and really honestly excited about maybe making some changes or resetting their intention. So how are you tonight?
I'm good, thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I'm Dr. Diana Bitner. I'm co-founder and chief medical officer of True Women's Health. I'm an OBGYN, but over my career, I've gotten really much more interested in women's wellness, right? So how we can all age like we want and live our true self. So I'm so excited that you've invited me tonight because I feel like we're so much on the same page. First of all, I want to come work out at CKO, but, really understanding how all of us from all of our different areas of expertise can support women. So thank you so much.
My pleasure. And so, Dr. Bitner and I talked a bit about what our audience is at CKO. We've got lots and lots of men. Tonight, we want to focus on the conversation on women's health, and we hope our men are out there as well listening because you likely are in a relationship. And so this information is really important because we're going to talk a little bit about relationships, sex, confidence, and some of the things that are related to making a relationship the best it can be, which includes your overall health and, one of those
and self-care.
Yeah, is fitness and food, which is what I talk to my members and guests about all the time, because we want people when they're stepping out and carving out the time for a workout and the grocery store, all the things that they're doing to optimize, everything about themselves and their families, to really do it the right way and have the best information relative to exercise science and medical science, food science, and everything else. So I'm going to sort of like set the larger tone, and it might be in a question. It might be just more like talk about this topic. We've got several. And we might be touching back on, or reiterating some of the things that are over and over. But sometimes when we hear them in different ways, it sort of can be like this aha moment. And it has for me in a lot of ways. A couple other things I want to mention, I'll mention now and at the end. Both Dr. Bitner and I have new apps. She has one called the True Women app for her patients. And it really is basically a menopause tracker. And you want to just do a quick 30 on that?
Yeah, just real briefly, our app allows patients not only to text us, anybody on the True team, but also to have video visits or telehealth visits, but also to track their symptoms. So even if someone is before menopause, it's tracking symptoms like sex drive and mood and energy, all the things, Shelby, that we've talked about. It allows you to track those and then compare it to your habits. So let's say you didn't drink your water. You're going to be tired. You're going to have less energy. You're going to have less mojo, but also more hot flashes, even if it's the week before a period, if you're before perimenopause. So to your point, it's all about maybe the effect of hormones, but also the effect of habits on how we feel every day. So
you're telling me something maybe I don't know, and I don't even know if I have signs of menopause, honestly. I've always been sort of waiting for it, and I'm not sure if, which is good. So I want to stave that off as long as possible. But it's also just some, an area for that all of us might be feeling. What are things sort of perimenopausal? Yeah. Also, so with the app, is it helpful for people who are premenopausal?
It can be, because we can focus, it's all about personalized goal setting and then helping people get around those barriers. Again, I love how you talk about barriers like knowing what to eat, knowing how to work out, knowing how much to work out. So it's about goal setting and barriers. But I think your app is fairly similar, right?
Yeah, so our app will have some nutritional aspects on there, videos for cooking, and obviously tons of on-demand workouts, live workouts. So we'll be sending more information out to our system on that. But we're very excited, given where we are right now. Telemedicine and on-demand workouts online are going to be important even after this is over. I think we're all getting maybe a little bit smarter about how we can interact with services and different things that we need. A little blending as we get through it and get back to living outside of our homes. But there's a lot of things we're taking away that, wow, I've actually been more efficient. And so that's
exactly. We want to be able to provide women's health care when women need it, where women need it. So if women only have 20 minutes and they call me from an office at work where they can close the door, let's have an appointment. Let's talk. And so to your point, we're learning a lot about telehealth. And, in the medical world, a physical exam can be very important in certain instances, but sometimes we don't need a physical exam. We just need to touch base.
Right. Yes. Agreed. So that's very exciting for both of us, trying to basically sort of just like pivoting in this world.
Exactly.
As it evolves.
We're resilient women, right?
Yes. So I'm going to start with one of my favorite topics, which is workout fuel and hydration. I tend to talk a lot about that when I'm on the mic, in class, and giving people small tips, because I want people to see their workouts being exactly what they want. They're setting their intention with, it could be a weight loss goal. It could be just simply feeling better, because we all feel those, the mood boosting chemicals that are released in a workout. We feel amazing after. Generally, we might feel sapped, but we know it's so life-giving, and it's part of that self-care piece that is so important, because the better that we feel about ourselves, the more we can give to our friends and family. So talk to me about what to consume pre-workout and post-workout, and then how does hydration and food fuel your workouts, fuel your life with energy, and then how sort of that thing where it comes in with fatigue, because that's the last thing I want to do is feel tired.
Exactly. Well, Shelby, first of all, I just love your approach, because you really talk about the evidence behind exercise physiology. And so if we think about number one, in terms of hydration, muscles without water are like beef jerky, right? They're tight, they don't stretch. And when you think about a muscle and having as much strength as we want it to have, it's having it at that optimal length. So if you think about a muscle, it's like a ladder with little rungs in between. And so a muscle has to bond, release, and that muscle can't stretch. So if a muscle is really tight, then it has no length for power, right? And if it's overstretched, then again, no length. We want that muscle to match up. So bottom line, it's about hydration to allow our muscles to stretch, but then also being stretched before. I don't know about you, but I've been in the middle of a workout and I'm just not as strong. I get off the spin bike or I stop running and I stop and stretch. And then I'm stronger again, right? Because you allow that muscle to get to that length. But if you're so dehydrated, the muscle's not going to stretch.
Mm-hmm. We're so busy sometimes that I feel like, there's a lot of eating on the run. There's a lot of great ways to eat. Both Dr. Bitner and I use Isogenics, which is basically simple, portable food that is very focused on vitamins, protein, hydration, and some other things. So being on the go, that is a lot of my go-to food. But where, just being able to sort of really understand, for me, the importance of stretching as well. I even have some of my male trainers who are, they're like, what do we need stretching for? Used to be that way, but even more recently, one of my just amazing trainers, his name is Chad. He's like, I realize even more now the importance of stretching, especially with high intensity interval training.
Well, it's also injury prevention, right? Like one time I remember I wasn't in the stretching mode, and I was running a ton and I hurt my Achilles and I didn't get to run for 6 weeks. So it's like I did it to myself by not taking the time to stretch, because, I don't need to do that, right? Mm-hmm. But I think the other thing about hydration is that we're all so busy, right? And there's not time to drink. And I remember a patient saying, well, I'm a teacher. How am I supposed to drink water? I'm like, buck it up and figure it out, right? Like,
carry that gallon.
Drink those 2 glasses in the morning, and then, then you can go to the bathroom before you start with a classroom, because of course you can't leave the classroom. And, so it's really being creative and knowing that it takes 3 days to get hydrated and 3 days to get dehydrated. So really start cranking it on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then you've got a couple days where hopefully you can stand and guzzle, get those 80 ounces plus down. Shelby, you and I probably drink about 110, 120, right?
Yeah.
Plus, it's net water. It's water minus coffee, minus if you drink diet soda or caffeinated soda, and minus alcohol, because those three things dehydrate you. So it's water minus alcohol minus coffee.
What about tea? What about green tea?
There's not that much. Like you can Google how much caffeine is in each product. Caffeine, especially the stuff I drink, the coffee has, tons of caffeine, but green tea, not as much. So maybe an extra half a glass of water. But if you're going to have that second glass of wine, drink an extra glass of water before you drink the wine. It's just little tidbits like that, right?
And I think, a lot of us is go all day. And then, let's say we get a workout and you're drinking a lot of water through the workout or after the workout. I always tell people too, when you feel thirsty, your brain got there late. We were thirsty long before that. So don't wait until you're thirsty. Drink systematically, because our brains are not, it's a delayed situation.
So it's important to stay hydrated. And then eating before workout. Again, I know you study a lot of exercise physiology, and but I like the reading that supports having maybe even a fruit sugar. I like to have a yellow banana before a workout, because it's a brown banana is high sugar, a yellow banana is low sugar. So if I can even have half a banana before a workout, I know from the research and from how I feel, I'm going to get a more efficient workout. I'm going to be able to work out harder. But then right afterwards, I have a protein, either, maybe a scoop of peanut butter, but even, like you talked about, I do use the Isogenics products. And so I'll have a protein with the fruit stuff in it, right afterwards. And right away get that protein in. And, it works for me. So we all have our own tools, but it's just being real smart about that. By the way, I start to see some questions popping up. So feel free to put questions in. And Shelby and I will take time to listen. And Linda, I don't know that we want to have a big conversation about Isogenics. That's another one, but it's ISOGENIX. It's a really good option for those meals on the go, full nutrition. I don't want to be a doctor who sells stuff, but at True, we will offer not only the Isogenics products, but we'll offer an Isogenics coach. And again, it's all about good nutrition. I love the vitamins because they don't give me a stomach ache. And I like the protein powder for my shakes in the morning. Sometimes I'll do 2 shakes a day, sometimes just 1. But I really like having that option of full nutrition. So we'll certainly talk about that more later.
And just a quick one on that, because I'm in my 6th year of the program. It's basically because I'm lazy nutritionally. I need to be able to very simply see how much protein I'm having every day. It makes me drink a certain amount of water, because a lot of the products are water soluble, powdered fruits and vegetables. Mm-hmm. It just checks it off the list for me, and then I can be a little bit more free about the other things that I eat during the day. And what you can do too, for anyone interested, you can either direct message Dr. Bitner or myself on Facebook. And then we can take that conversation from there. Exactly. But for me, truly, and this is just whether Isogenics or not, protein changed my shape. I started Isogenics when I was 42. It was actually more about taking a stand on how much protein I was not getting, and how I needed to change that along with hydration. And I noticed I was seeing my muscles more, and I was getting leaner. And I hadn't really changed a lot. Right. But I think I was working out less.
Right. But I think also the part of it is that you're not eating empty carbs. Let's say a piece of bread that has a lot of white flour in it with peanut butter is what I used to do. But the peanut butter is okay. The whole grain stuff in the bread is, but what about all the stuff in the bread that's not whole grain? So I think it also gets rid of extra, of empty calories that we don't need. And again, the other reason I've chosen to use Isogenics is I was fortunate. I got access to the head nutritionist for Isogenics, and I really feel confident that what's in there is in there.
Yes. Speaking of that, just kind of going back to protein, one of the questions I get from members a lot is, should I have my protein, 20 grams, 30 grams of protein, which is usually what a shake is, or a protein drink, after or before my workout? Go.
What do you mean?
What do you think? Is it best to have it before or after?
I think after, just because, again, how I feel when I have it, but also I feel like, and maybe, again, we could look into the science a little deeper, but if I'm breaking muscle down and I'm really sore and I'm stretching, then I think about the protein going in. And so I don't know if it's that simple. It could just be how I think about it. I'm certainly not an exercise physiologist, but again, I like that little bit of fruit sugar before a workout to give me that energy and protein afterwards. What do you think?
The research I've seen is it's good to have a before and after, but your muscles are start the repair cycle within 15 minutes post workout. And so protein acts as a protector of muscles while you might be flushing out toxins from your workout into your bloodstream and disposing of them. Toxins from your fat cells, from your organs, and so forth are being sort of processed out through that workout, through that high intensity workout. And so having that protein is sort of like a safeguard to your muscles while it sort of like attacks your fat cells and your sort of the toxins. So your muscles can repair with the quality nutrition while you're trying to maybe losing weight, maybe not, but really protecting your muscle because you're investing in all those workouts to gain nice lean muscle mass.
Right. But I love what you know about what Linda just said about low glycemic. The thing is that, we women, especially in midlife or menopause, we need complex carbs. I've taken care of how many women who are doing the keto thing or really low carb, no carb kind of diet. And unfortunately, our muscles need sugar to work. And so it's having that low glycemic sugar, sweet potatoes, not white potatoes. So I've had patients who come to me and they're just exhausted and they're working out a ton, they're drinking their water, they're sleeping, they're getting enough protein, but they're not getting any carbs. And so it's about having the complex carbs. Today I had a half of an Ezekiel English muffin with avocado and an egg for lunch. It was like, and then I'll probably have a shake, later, whatever. But it's having those complex carbs to make sure that we have energy to think.
Right.
I can't do a cleanse day and be working because I need sugar in my brain to think.
Two things I want to mention on the sugars and the complex carbs is, number one, no one ever got fat eating fruit. So our bodies need that natural sugar. And we also need fat to lose fat. We need those really great monounsaturated fats. I had an avocado for lunch today, a whole avocado with some tomatoes. And so, some of those are like 2 full avocados a day. It's not making me gain weight. It's just it's fantastic food that sticks with you for hours. So you're not walking around maybe trying to pick up things to graze because you're feeling like you want to eat. So that's a big one. So those 2 things are important. And then another thing about complex carbs, which I like for lunch, if you're going to work out at night, is complex carbs time release in your body as fuel. And they say roughly every 15 minutes. So let's say you have that sweet potato for lunch and you're going to work out at 5:30 p.m. You're going to need time released fuel through an hour workout, or you're going to feel a little drained about halfway through, a little gassed, and you're going to be like, man, my arms feel heavy, or I just feel like my fast twitch muscle fiber isn't what it was 2 days ago. Check your food, check your complex carbohydrates, because we need those to time release in our bodies for HIIT work.
Right. Well, I also think too we talk about other, food for our body. I think about for our bones. I love how you talk about, with your workouts, you really support skeleton health, bone health. And so it's making sure we get enough calcium and vitamin D. I think it's just fascinating that we reach our peak bone mass at age 32. So after 32, if we're not supporting that bone mass, we already start to lose. And then when we lose estrogen, let's say with a low dose birth control pill, or we lose estrogen with menopause, that estrogen levels goes down and we start to lose bone faster. So
yeah, you know what?
Really important.
I remember reading that years ago around the age 32, the peak. And first of all, it gave me a little bit of a panic feeling. And so in a few quick tips, what is the best way to really just make sure we're doing the most we can to maintain that bone mass, bone health and muscle mass?
Yeah. I think number one, sorry.
Go ahead.
I think number one is to have intention, right? So for example, I'm 53, I'm in menopause. I am choosing to take hormone replacement therapy, but I want to go skiing, right? I want to ride a horse. I don't want to worry about falling and breaking a hip. And we know that many women, when they break a hip at 60 or 70 or 80, a large percentage aren't independent ever again. And there's that fear of falling, right? So again, I have very clear intention that I want to keep doing those behaviors. So it's, out there, I want you all to have very clear intention, but then also, what are the basics? Number one, get your vitamin D, 2,000 units every day. D3 is out there available. D2 is probably fine, but D3 in a soft gel. Again, I take my Isogenics. It's in there. I had my level checked, and it's 45, and that's a perfect level. So you want your vitamin D every single day. Number two, calcium. We probably all get enough in our diet with, romaine lettuce, broccoli, dairy, cheese, yogurt, almond milk, cashew milk. There's calcium in all of that. But there's actually an app you can get on your phone called the Calcium Calculator if you want to actually see how much is in your diet. And then number three, it's CKO workouts. It's boxing, it's jumping, it's running. So we have to put pressure on our bones so they know they need us. So I tell my patients, if you're going to do nothing else, just jump up and down 50 times a day to jar your hips and your spine. And Shelby, I love what you're talking about, even with low impact. I'm a swimmer, so I even know that flip turns, pushing off the wall will help give me that strength.
Yep. And so, one of the things for members out there, this because it's one of my mantras, and one of the things that why you're at CKO, but for those that are listening that have never kickboxed or boxed, the constant light impact on the bag is fantastic for upper body bone density building measures. So if you're looking to improve your overall body bone health, look at something that is going to provide the impact for those upper limbs. We do it all the time because we walk. Walking, I love to speed walk, really walk fast, put my AirPods on, listen to an Audible book, and really get through that walk really fast, because I know it's awesome for the lower body. Take a couple strides where you're doing some high knees every quarter mile for 10 seconds, things like that, where it just breaks up that impact. And then stop off to the side and do some, some squat thrusts. Yeah, some burpees, some half burpees, some sprawls, things that will provide that upper body engagement. So yes, absolutely.
Yeah. And I love how, to follow CKO on Instagram. I'm sure you've got lots of great pictures and stories, right? To give people an example of what to do.
Yes. When it comes to, your goals and, working out, weight loss is one of them, confidence building, de-stressing, finding good, good habits. One of the things that Dr. Bitner and I talked about before we're, talking tonight, just to prepare for this, this conversation, was what are we doing today that is improving our longevity and our quality of life, as we age. And a lot of the things that when we're young, we don't know what's going on inside. We always look at what's happening on the outside. What are the results we're seeing on the outside? But really, those things on the inside are the things we can't see that are just so critical. And is, kind of going back, bone health, muscle mass, hydration, how our skin's going to age, and how water is such a key aspect of that, vitamins and so forth. So Dr. Bitner, if we want to talk about sort of like overcoming barriers to, increasing maybe our longevity in life, or again, it really goes back to quality of life. Right now, a lot of people are thinking, what am I giving up? What am I sacrificing? Really, what are my risks in life, or what are my barriers? And how do I just make the most of my life in general? And again, going back to intention, but speak to that sort of broad general idea.
Well, I think number one, to your point, it's really having that clear intention. And what I ask patients when they come into True, no matter if they're 20 or 80, what do you want in the future? And we can partner with you to help you get that. And then, the next thing is like, what is hard for you? Is it migraine? Is it PMS? Is it depression? Is it anxiety? Like, what's hard for you? And then let's turn that around into a goal. So yes, anxiety is hard for me. So my goal is to not have anxiety. And then once we have that set, it's to go back to the seeds, or the 7 essential elements of daily success. And I like how we share that it's about the basics. There's no magic pill. There's no one magic thing, but we've got to have those seeds, together. And at True, we talk about that. We track it on the app. But basically, it's looking at that checklist. And I don't know about you, but I'm a list girl. I've got lists all over the place. But
Yes.
no matter the age, it's those 7 habits. It's water, sleep, micronutrients, vitamins, macronutrients, nutrition, exercise, strength training, aerobic exercising, and stretching. It's fiber, and it's gratitude and metered breathing. It's having all those 7. And again, the fun thing is that when you're doing your seeds, you'll feel better. So it's not always, it's easy to have that second glass of wine. We're not thinking about how that's going to affect our heart and our risk for breast cancer and our risk for osteoporosis, because right now you want it. But if you think about, I'm going to have maybe a club soda instead, and then I'm going to feel better. I'm going to sleep better. I'm going to wake up better. And so if we can really get attached to how those habits make us feel today, but then knowing that long term they have benefit.
So I'm not going to whine shame anybody listening, but while we have a doctor who's got such great knowledge about sort of, again, those 7 essential habits, which I just absolutely love, because it goes back to intention. Are any of those essential things, do we have a barrier preventing any one of those things from in our lives and addressing it? So let's go back to wine and drinking, or having a cocktail at night. What is a healthy balance for that? And really understanding how it might affect our hydration as well.
Sure. Well, number one, if you drink alcohol, it will make you pee even if you're dehydrated. So just know that it's a dehydrator. So if you're going to have a beer or a glass of wine or a cocktail, to have a glass of water before. Number 2, just in terms of safety, I mean, my number 1 is I want people to be safe. Number 2, happy. So we look, for example, at the risk of breast cancer. Other than the genetic risk of breast cancer, what are the next 2? Number 1 is belly fat is a risk factor for breast cancer. And number 2, it's alcohol. So we know that after 7 drinks a week, the risk of breast cancer goes up. So if you just pick a simple guideline, 7 a week, that's your max. And so if you have a couple each night on the weekends, then maybe a couple of nights during the week, you don't have anything. If, I have patients say, well, I want to come home and relax and I deserve, that. And again, I'm not wine shaming. I like it as much as the next person. But again, maybe that second glass, either don't have it or this much wine and this much club soda and make a spritzer. So you still have the taste, the glass, or half a shot when you make your mule, like whatever it is, like just really limit. Plus alcohol, it hurts sleep. So I have so many patients who will have a second glass of wine. They fall asleep okay, but then they wake up at 2 a.m. and they can't get back to sleep because now they're worried about everything they got to do the next day, right? So when that alcohol wears off, you wake up. It doesn't do good for our hair, our skin. So again, it's to have it, but everything in moderation.
So, and I know we're running out of time. My 9-year-old just gave me the high sign. My last question was about sleep. And what can we do? First of all, how much is enough sleep for women? Enough sleep, and then how can we get the best sleep?
So number 1, we need 2 sleep cycles. So if you look at the science of sleep, it's about right when we fall asleep, we drop into that non-REM, and that's when all the really important stuff does. We make brain chemicals. So those brain chemicals allow us to feel like ourselves, act like ourselves, not overreact, not say stupid things when our kid spills milk or gives us the high five on Facebook Live. But it's all about really, getting that sleep to get our brain chemicals. So it's 2 sleep cycles. How do we get really good sleep? Number 1, it's learning to really shut our brain off, and it's possible. So what I recommend is 30 minutes before bed, turn off the Facebook. Don't go down the Facebook hole. Turn off the screen and just really have that time. So if you're going to have sex or wash your face, brush your teeth, do all that stuff, and then take a couple minutes by yourself where you just have that little bit of gratitude. Think of 3 things you're so grateful for. Gratitude gets us out of that flight or fight. It helps us turn our brain off. And then just close your mouth, open your eyes, stare, and just breathe. and then go to bed. If you lay there and you can't get to sleep, get back up right away. Go out to your Zen spot and do it again. If you wake up in the middle of the night, get up, break the cycle. Go pee, drink a glass of water, sit in your Zen spot, have gratitude, do some breathing, go back to bed, and you're out.
Sleep is so incredibly important to me, because if I don't get enough sleep, it's working out is not as fun when you're tired, and then you make excuses to maybe not even work out at all. So I just absolutely feel like sleep is almost just as important as nutrition.
If it were a drug, you couldn't afford it, right? Like right. It's so important, and sleep, no matter the age, it really impacts our ability to work out. But then again, so in terms of tips for sleep, it's like if you have an issue, let's say you're snoring and you might have sleep apnea, that can cause premature death from heart disease and dementia. Go to your doctor. If you're not sleeping because of night sweats, maybe it's the 5 days when you're on the birth control pill, and it's the 5 days when you're taking the fake pills. Maybe it's perimenopause. Maybe it's menopause. Like at True, we have answers for that. Like get it figured out.
Yes.
If you have depression or anxiety, we have, I'm sure you have, affiliated counselors. We do, like, get help for those issues that are getting in front of your sleep.
But again, it kind of comes back to, like there's so much better, to me, resources. I'd like you to, do you have your book and your workbook where you can just do a quick flash of it? Guys, this is really awesome, and it's local. This is Grand Rapids. I'm so proud of her. So share that, and then we'll have to sign off.
Okay, cool. Well, about 9 years ago, I did a pilot study where I had 100 women follow a process of care of setting goals, looking at barriers, following their seeds, and they all got happier and healthier because now they knew where they were. They knew their risk for diabetes, for heart disease, and we walked them through the process, and really, like, we all learned a lot. So this book is called I Want to Age Like That, because we all have our own that. It is healthy aging through midlife and menopause, but really does apply. And it's the stories of the women who went through the process. And the workbook just came out. It came from the publisher last week. So the workbook is, I had happy tears when this came. This was so much work, but it's so, so the first chapter is all about, tell me about the women that came before you. Let's do a genetic tree, not only of heart attack or breast cancer, but how do you cope? How do you deal with stress? And so it's a workbook process that walks you through the whole thing. So you can get it on Amazon. You can get it on our webpage. We've sold over, I think, 8,000 books so far. It's also on, ebook, whatever. So it's just, I never thought I'd write a book, but this information, I believe every woman deserves the information. And so it's got to be out there that, women can age like they want. We just have to give tools, and we all have to help each other with our own expertise. So Shelby, Thank you so much for what you do. Thank you. And
thank you so much as well. And then we've had our information sort of scrolling across the page, but we are very easy to find on social media. Good luck with your new clinic. It's so exciting. It's on East Paris. Really easy to get to, you guys. And please check out Dr. Bitner. She's now just a quick one. How many are you doing some more talks? What do we have to look forward to?
So every week we have a series called Let's Chat. So last night we did a Let's Chat with my colleague from St. Louis about bringing happiness to the bedroom. 2 weeks ago, we talked about the connection between belly fat and chin hair. And next week, I'm talking with a world expert about hormone replacement therapy. It's safer than you think. But every week we'll have a Let's Chat. And like you, we have a nutritionist and a chef on our staff. We're doing cooking classes. Shelby, I really look forward to working together in the future. We are so on the same page.
Yay. Well, this, guys, is the wave of the future for, OBGYNs. Doctors. This is just, it's so cool because, I feel like maybe things seem to get a little less intimate with our doctors, and I want to see that change.
Exactly. And that's why at True, I decided to leave the large system and start this clinic where we can cap our practice. We're only going to take a certain number of patients, and we can spend time, up to an hour with each patient. really getting to know what are the barriers, and it's been really fun.
Excellent. Well, have a wonderful night, Dr. Bitner. Thanks again.
Thanks, Shelby.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.